Hi everybody, Kathy here, and we are playing along with Ginger's Budget Challenge game, where she has set $2.50 for us to stash bust, and we had to choose what we wanted to do. So my layout today, I have chosen a saying or a phrase, which is 25 cents. So I've chosen this one here, which is a branding strip. Our photos are free, our base is free. So then we're allowed to use pattern paper, and I'm using the two patterns on this one. So each pattern is worth 40 cents, so that's 80 cents to my total. That's bringing it up to $1.05. As I said, my base is free. Even though that is a cardstock, it is free because it is going to be my base. I'm allowed to use a pen on it for 10 cents. I'm going to use some pops of colour for 15 cents. I've got a paper trimmer, which is 35 cents, and my tape, which I'm using, is 20 cents. So all up, mine comes to a total of 85. And even though I cut out bits and pieces from my base, and it could therefore be classed as cardstock, I still come in well under the $2.50 budget for this layout. So it's a bit of a challenge to see how you can bash your stash, go shopping through it, and create a layout, effective layout, with minimal supplies. So what I've done here is I'm cutting down my 12 by 12. You saw that I cut out a 1/2 inch border all around, and I'm putting that to the side because I'm going to use that to create another base soon for my 20 bases in 20 days. Then I am now marking underneath these squares of paper that I have cut, or rectangles of paper, whichever way you'd like to look at them, and I'm marking where I'm going to be able to cut out some of the cardstock from the base so I can use it for mounting on my photo and also for my layout pull together. Now, this is a great way of stretching your stash if you are on a limited budget, which some people are, and I was for many, many, many years of my scrapbooking history, where I just did not have excess cash to spend on supplies, so I had to learn how to stretch my stash. So I often gut my cardstock and use it, and even now I just gut it because I'm going to use it on this layout, but in the past I used to gut it so that I could extend and create different layouts. So don't be afraid to gut behind what you're placing down. As long as there's enough to hold it in place and make it sturdy, you can do that to your layout. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm placing it here into this grid pattern, and I have got the 4 elements there. So the 2 on the side, they are 3 3/4 inches in length, and I've cut one right down to the 12, and then that became a 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 square. And then the other one, I cut the 3 3/4 off what was left, and that became my square in the top right hand corner. What I'm doing now is, as I said, I'm extending my stash because I'm only allowed to use what I've been supplied out of my shopping, and I've got the 2 patterns. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting out where the photo is going to be. So I'm double using this, and so my photo will cover up that hole, and I'm going to use that pattern paper to help extend the pattern on this page. Now, if I wanted to spend on scissors, I could have, and I could have fussy cut those flowers out, but I'm not. I'm just keeping with my budget, and I'm keeping it very tight. So what I'm doing here is I'm using what's left of my scraps of the cardstock and from my base, and what's left of my coloured double-sided patterns, and I'm creating triangles which I am going to layer up into the corners of my squares that I have here. So you can see that I'm putting those into place. Now, if I wasn't on my budget, I'd be using scissors to cut these down. But because I'm on my budget, I'm being very conscious of what I'm using. And this is always really good because it actually makes you think creatively with what you've got in your stash. I'm going to use my trimmer to cut these rectangles, in these triangles, into workable spaces. So now I'm going to line up using the guide wire on this Fiskars cutter to allow me to get my straight edges for my triangles here. And they were originally a 2.5 inch square, which I have cut into half and then half again. I'm now going to load up the triangles into the corners of the four corners here to make it a focal point on the layout. Because I am not embellishing and I'm keeping it quite simple, this is a great way of creating a visual effect to draw the eye around the layout. Now, when you are being very conscious of what you're using, it's always good to take opportunity where you can extend the patterns, where you can utilize what's available to you to create interest on the layout. I'm trimming down this saying which says you are capable of amazing things, always believe in yourself, and then to make it pop even more and to pick up the colors in the photos. And that's another key element when you're doing a layout, is to pick up the photos colors, because then your photo will always stand out. I'm going to use the black pen here to trace each of the elements on the layout to give it a black border, and that's just going to make each of those pop out and stand out against that cardstock. It is one of my favorite colors, this cardstock, the Dusky Rose here, and I am just using the black pen as an edging because haven't got distress ink included, but it's a way of getting your elements on your layout to stand out or to pop. So by using the black line and drawing around each of the elements, it allows them to blend with the bright colors, toning them down but making them stand out against the many different patterns. And that works really well because the black is in the photo, but it also makes it a standout point. From there, I'm going to use what's left of this pattern up here at the top, and at first I thought I'd add another triangle, but then I thought no, I'm actually going to create a banner up into that corner up there, and that takes care of that big white empty space up there in the corner, but it adds another focal point of interest. So I'm making them 1 inch by 2 inches, these strips here. And normally with a pair of scissors, I would trim these triangles with scissors, but because I haven't got them in my budget today, I have to use my trimmer. And so that is a little bit more trickier, but it's just patience and lining it up carefully. And you can see how you cut it on the diagonal, and there you get your banner triangles. And that continues on with the triangle focus that I have down in the bottom corner of this layout. Once they're in place, I contemplated backing them with the leftover cardstock there, but then I decided no, I would not, and I just put them in across that top panel, drawing your eye across the layout to have a look, and there we have the 3 triangles pointing downwards. Once again, I'm tracing around the outside to pop them off that background. And just to make the yellow stand out even more, I'm adding in some faux stitching just to the yellow. And that gives it another point of interest on what could have been a very, very plain layout. By adding these little doodlings with the pen, I've added some interest, I've highlighted the parts I want to highlight, and I make that photo pop. To finish it off, I'm using pops of colour. I love pops of colour. It allows me to create an enamel dot false effect, but it looks effective. I'm using it in the blue, which is the colour of the blue petals in her top. This is my middle daughter. We were at the beach. This is her rashi. Actually, it's an all-in-one rashi swimsuit, and the blue of those flowers really stand out, and that's why I've chosen the blue in the pops of colour. And you can see how here they are adding extra to the layout and making your eye move and roam around the points, so that your eye is always brought back to the photo but taking in the full detail that exists. So there you have how you can, with a very tight budget, use your stash to create effective layouts that are eye-catching and complement your photos and look very effective. Another page for the album. Very well done. So what I want to do is get you to check out the playlist, which you will see listed down below, of all the people playing along in this game with Ginger's Corner. All Ginger's details will be in my description box. Thank you for watching and being part of this. I hope something inspired you. Give me a thumbs up if it did. Leave me a comment. I'll get back to you. Happy scrapping till next time.